third community roundtable discussion that we're hosting. So it's been really encouraging to kind of meet all the residents of near Northwest Denver to have these robust community discussions, even though they're virtual. I think, we've been learning a lot, and a lot of the community members been learning a lot from each other. So we look forward to continuing this through the rest of the project. But before we dive into the presentation, I did just want to quickly introduce some of our project team members and city staff that have joined us here today. My name is Sung Han. I am the project manager from the city side for the Near Northwest Area Plan. And I am here joined by Abe Barge. He's the principal city planner with planning services, and Evan with our landmark department, and he is also with our team. And I'll let the consultants chime in and introduce themselves.
Hi, everyone. I'm Cheney Bostick with Studio Seed. I'm on the consultant team led by Progressive Urban Management Associates, and I will focus on urban design. And I also am project managing the project with Sung from the consultant side. Amanda?
Yeah, hi, everyone. I'm Amanda Kennard. I'm with Progressive Urban Management Associates, and I am the deputy project manager on the consultant side.
Awesome, great. So I will go ahead and share my screen to get this rolling. Right. And I'm assuming everyone sees this. Do you guys see the full presentation? Great. Awesome. Sorry. Okay. So I'm looking at like 3 screens and I don't know where the presentation went. Okay. There it is. So yeah, we are here for the Design, Character, and Preservation Roundtable. So thank you again for joining us here today. Before we start, we do have a quick poll with some demographic questions. And this survey is really intended to kind of help us understand who we're engaging and capturing the community input from. So this helps us just kind of understand, one, who we're hearing from, and 2, who we're not hearing from. So it helps us adjust our community engagement strategy as needed to make sure that, the voices we hear from are truly reflective of the community that it serves. So your name will not be tied to the information that you share. We do, your privacy is very important to us. It'll just be shared into aggregate just to understand who we're engaging with. So,
hey, Sam, can you share it so it's just the one? So we see the whole the slide, and then all your slides to the left.
All the slides to the left.
It's not in presentation mode.
It's not in presentation mode, really?
No.
Shoot. Okay.
If you go down to the bottom right and you go up to the one of those ones on your left, right, it's not right there. That's usually presentation mode.
Do you guys see that now?
No, it's still
in that
slide deck mode. Yeah.
I never had trouble with this in Teams. All right. Let me try one more thing, and we might just have to. Let's see. Okay, I think this might work better. Is that better now?
That's perfect.
Okay, great. So Amanda, did you launch the demographic poll by chance? Thank you.
I just launched it. Yeah.
Yeah, and obviously this is for the community members that are engaging with us tonight, and not really for city staffers. So we'll go ahead and give it some time before we close the poll. Great. I think we can close it. We're not going to get the full 100% because of city staff that are here too. So, right. And no need to share the results. We could just move on from here. Thanks, Amanda. So for today, this is the agenda that we have. We'll quickly go through some introduction slides to talk about where we are in the process, and then dive into some of the background information as it relates to this particular focus topic. And then we'll have a majority of the time dedicated to smaller breakout sessions where you guys can talk to each other and brainstorm, and then ultimately come out to the larger group to do a quick report out, and then we'll discuss next steps. So quick Zoom meeting instructions for those that have been doing this for a while. I'm sure it's not new to you, but if at all possible, if you can turn on your videos for the small breakout sessions, that would be great. And if you're not speaking, just to be able to mute yourself to minimize background noise and such. So, and the meetings will be recorded and posted online for others to see. So just quick introduction on the timeline. We started this project in 2021, where we really spent a lot of the time understanding the area and hearing from the community about their likes, dislikes, and the big ideas they have for their community. Ultimately, we took that input, we digested it, and married it with some of the current conditions analysis that we did to better understand the area. And here we are today in phase 2. Where we're talking about the specific issues and opportunities that we heard from the community to have a more in-depth discussion about them. So we'll continue this discussion and continue this engagement throughout April, throughout or early May. And ultimately that will help us identify some of the preliminary strategies and recommendations that will ultimately go back to you guys for review, and to continue this iterative process to make sure that the vision and the recommendations of this plan is truly reflective of the community's voice. We have a lot of background information available on our website, a lot of data-driven analysis, but also some engagement summaries. So basically understanding all we heard from phase 1 of the process, to be able to report that back out to say, this is what we've heard, and this is how it's informing the next phase of the process. So we'll make sure to continue to do that, again, to just make sure that our community process is iterative and we are truly listening and reporting back out to you on the things that we've heard. We also have some key background information or background reports. One of them includes a pattern book. So for those that are interested in design of their neighborhoods, we did a lot of background analysis to understand the design and character of the places, of the physical places in near Northwest, and to understand how those places have evolved over time. So I encourage you guys to check out the website, check out the engagement summary, and check out the pattern book, but also look forward to the things that are coming, which will include online surveys, and then updates on future meetings and events for this next phase of the process. So quick background information on the focus topics. We're having topics-based discussions in small groups to make sure that people have the opportunity to talk to each other at the residence and talk about the issues, and to be able to bounce ideas with one another, ultimately to brainstorm and develop strategies that can address some of the issues we're talking about today. Oh, I think I skipped a couple of slides, but maybe that's okay. And then I'll pass it off to Jane here.
Okay, I'm gonna try this. Can everybody hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So I've been kicked off a couple times. My internet connection is unstable. I'm on my hotspot. So if I disappear, Sung will take over, but I will do my best. Cross my fingers. Okay, so tonight we are here to talk about design, character, and preservation. And we will talk about this in 2 different avenues. We will talk about it in terms of residential design. So think of your traditional single family, two family neighborhood areas, the lower scale areas. And then we also want to have a conversation around design and activation of the mixed use neighborhoods. So think your 44th Avenue, 32nd Avenue, Tejon, all of your commercial corridors. And we want to stay focused specifically on the design character and any notion of historic preservation. Next slide. Can you guys still hear me okay?
Yeah, we can hear you.
You can, okay. Okay, maybe it's just slow, but I'm still stuck on the one slide. Are you seeing the slide with the map and the dots?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry about that. So this is a map of what we heard in the first phase of engagement, and as it relates to land use and built form, which is the topic that has design and preservation and
Janie, do we lose you by chance? I can't see the participant list.
Yeah, Sung, I think we lost her.
Okay, well, I'll try to present this. I reviewed it a couple times, but I'll just kind of continue to trek through here.
I'm back, if
Okay.
you can hear me. Oh, man. You guys hear me okay? It's not patchy. Do you want to go ahead, Sung?
Yeah, I was gonna say maybe I'll start the presentation, and if you are still online with us kind of through the next 5 to 10 minutes, I'll pass it off to you. But I'm happy to carry the presentation forward if you feel like you're gonna get disconnected again. Okay, I'll do that. So yeah, we heard, so we asked a lot about your likes, ideas, and dislikes in the neighborhood. And one of the things we heard a lot about was the design and character of the places that exist, and a lot about demolition, about how residents don't like those, and comments around, you know, new construction that are out of scale and character. And those things really have implications on multiple fronts, from a design and the transformation of the physicality of our neighborhoods, but also about affordability within the neighborhoods and loss of diversity over time. So we're going to quickly go over some of the key issues that we've identified in the report as it relates to these residential neighborhoods. The first one is really speaking to the latter point I talked about earlier, where, you know, as we lose some of these traditional building forms and they're getting replaced by larger homes, we also lose the diversity that used to exist within the neighborhoods. Population have significantly declined over time, and also the average household size have declined over time as well. This map really highlights the construction the past 20 years. The pink outline is a single unit districts where only single family homes are allowed today, as well as ADU in most of the area. And the photos on the left are some of the examples of new construction that have went up. And so we try to kind of get a variety of architectural styles and forms that exist in the neighborhood to be able to just kind of show you the new types of construction that are coming live in the neighborhood, and I'm sure you are all familiar with. 2 unit districts, we also see a lot of duplexes, new duplexes that are going up. Left are some examples of the new constructions in Sunnyside and Highland in particular that we get. So a large majority of the duplexes tend to, you know, be more of a flat roof structure with setbacks and roof decks that are kind of further away from the primary wall of the building. And I believe we have a poll question here. Is that correct, Cheney? Is this where we have the poll? Assuming she's still with us. But Amanda, if we can launch the second poll question, that would be great. And the poll question that's coming up is,
I can't see the screen.
sorry?
So it should be on the slide. It has poll in red in the top right corner. So it should be, yes. Okay. Sorry, I couldn't see which screen we were on.
Is Amanda here with us?
Yeah, I'm here. I only see the demographics poll. I don't.
If
Oh,
you
I
go
see it.
here, I think
I'll launch the poll. I have it right here.
Thank you.
So this poll is really to kind of understand the primary concerns that are driving the loss of traditional building forms. Is it really the affordability component? Is it the scale of new construction? Is it that we're losing the historic integrity of these neighborhoods? And maybe all of the above. So it's just an opportunity to just talk about the source kind of the issue that residents feel. And then the second question is, what actions should we prioritize as part of this planning effort and in the future to mitigate and address some of these issues?
Is submit grayed out for anybody else?
Great. I'll give it maybe just 15 more seconds. Great. So I did share the results. So yeah, it's a mix of many things, but at the top, I see architectural character, the history, the street character. Great. Then number two of what we would try to do, it seems like we have really a balance of everything. Great, we'll continue here. And we also just wanted to address the missing middle. So missing middle housing that exists in the SU and TU district areas, so single unit and 2-unit areas that have been in the neighborhood a long time. So duplexes, triplexes, townhomes, and apartments, typically 2 to 4 units that have provided affordability for a long time in the neighborhood. And so while we're definitely heard that people love these areas and we understand that affordability is a key concern, we have a quick poll understanding, should we focus as part of this planning effort and moving forward to preserve a lot of these homes. So I'll launch that poll too. Stop sharing. Great, that was quick. So mostly strongly agree, but definitely some others that feel a little bit differently about how we should approach kind of housing options within the neighborhood. So we also just wanted to touch on the historic and cultural part of our neighborhoods. So there are plenty of existing and potential historic districts in the area that are intended to uphold the historic character of the area, to make sure that demolition is discouraged, and if there's new construction or modifications to existing homes, that they align and that there's they align with the historic architectural character of the neighborhood, and there's additional design review by city staff to make sure that certain design standards and guidelines are being upheld. And we also have a tool within our Denver zoning code, which is a conservation overlay. And for those that are living in Sunnyside, they might have been exposed to the conservation overlay process. And I could quickly let Abe chime in here, but Abe, actually, do you mind covering this slide?
Sure, Sung, and we also have Councilwoman Sandoval with us, who has been, she's the sponsor now of a proposed text amendment to create this overlay within the Denver zoning code. So she's certainly welcome to chime in as well. But this has been several years in the making, this conversation with Sunnyside United Neighbors and Council District 1. It actually started with the previous Councilman Rafael Espinoza, and it's now championed by Councilman Sandoval. The proposal is to create a new overlay district, which the code allows for, that would address new construction in single and 2-unit zone districts in the Sunnyside neighborhood. So you can see where Sunnyside is on the map for those of you that don't live there. And then some later maps, you'll actually see where the 2-unit and single unit zoning is, which is most of the neighborhood. And the key topics that the overlay would address are reduced height for flat roof structures, but then there are some particular allowances for dormers to have exceptions, a required front porch, minimum percentage of brick on the exterior, and a maximum overall square footage for primary structures, basically for the house, not for garages or accessory structures. And Tim Bors is also here, as the councilman is pointing out, who led a conservation overlay that was adopted in 2015 in Highland. So he can help us with the context for these efforts. And the conversations have always built on each other. This proposed overlay for Sunnyside borrows some things from the Highland conversation, also from a more recent conversation in Harkness Heights that led to the creation of the bungalow conservation overlay last year.
Great, thank you. So yeah, that's all to say that we have various tools within the city to address design and character. So it's important for us to understand the root concerns, to be able to understand, to ultimately to think about future strategies in this plan of how we might approach them with the tools that we have as a city. So thank you, Abe. So in addition to that, there's a historic context study that was recently completed to better understand and capture the history of the Mexican American, Chicano, Latino history that exists here. So here's a map on the right-hand side of the near northwest area that identifies certain sites that might be a potential designated site for historic preservation efforts in the future. So multi-unit mixed-use districts, moving on here. So one of the key issues regarding the commercial and mixed-use areas are that there's a large concentration of areas that are underutilized, but they're also envisioned as places that tend to be more mixed use. But also there is a concern that mixed use development is happening where it already should be happening, where they're currently zoned and allowed today. So we see a lot of older commercial structures that get demolished and are replaced with buildings that are 100% residential. And we see in the same map from previously in overlaying these mixed use districts in yellow, you can see a lot of new development has occurred in these areas as well. And so examples are shown on the left, where there are some historic forms in the case of Sunnyside, showing Tejon with a 2-story brick building, and a lot of new development that is meeting a lot of the house, or not meeting, but delivering a lot of the housing units in the neighborhood, but also aren't providing the active commercial uses along the ground floor. So this was a key issue that we've identified as part of phase one, and we'll address here today as well. So with that, we will go ahead and go into our breakout rooms to discuss a couple of the key questions here, and with some additional questions to discuss as a group. So Amanda, if you can start the breakout groups, we can discuss and then come back as a larger group to report out. And we can come back at 6:45, giving us 45 minutes to discuss. So I think is everyone back now? Okay, great. Looks like we lost a few folks from the start of the meeting, but yeah, we'll go ahead and do the report outs. Abe and Amanda's group, do you guys want to go first?
Well, our person is Tim, I think. Amanda, or someone, can you share the notes?
Yeah, Sung, is it okay if I put the notes up on the?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
We're going to do the same too.
Okay, perfect. I will do that.
Okay, well, our group talked about a lot of things, a lot of concerns with scale of buildings in the neighborhood. And we talked about scale versus style, and figuring that scale is more important than style, given the heterogeneous nature of our neighborhood. One of our members talked about neighborhoods need to be functional, maybe more so than interesting. I'm not sure that the rest of us agreed, but that's good. Talked about landscaping needing to be sensitive to our climate. And concern with shadows being cast by big houses next to little ones. Lots of concern about affordability, and wondering if there are things we can be doing that would allow smaller units to be allowed on smaller lots. So duplexes on 25-foot lots, things of that sort. In terms of locations that we're concerned about, Lower Highland, Quig Newton, apparently there was a meeting last night where it was discussed that it might be 5 to 10 years before anything changed there. And neighbors thought that that was not nearly soon enough. Let's see, locations where improvements are incurred. We talked about 44th and Alcott, that's an appropriate scale. As compared to some of the slot homes that have happened throughout the neighborhoods. Historic designation, I'm not sure any of us came to the conclusion that historic designation is the right tool. So we talked about if there are other incentives to preserve buildings, incentives not to demolish. Because right now the zoning code seems to make it easier to build a new structure than it is to preserve existing. So that's something to really take a good look at. Let's see, Tejon Corridor was mentioned on the Chicano Latino study area. And then we talked about the missing middle housing types, and most folks agreed, or strongly agreed, that affordability is probably the biggest reason that this is necessary, and that retaining and bringing more of this type of housing helps increase density, which is a good thing. Brings more of a sense of community, and helps with trying to maintain diversity, or maybe reintroduce it in some cases. Let's go down to the infill. So concerns on infill in mixed use is that there are a lot of buildings that are fully residential, and not there's really no commercial spaces being utilized. So sometimes empty retail, little tiny empty retail spaces on the ground floor and not much else. If there are ways to get more of the office and retail and residential mixed together, that would be way more beneficial than what we've got now. Particular concerns that we don't have grocery stores north of 38th that our neighbors can utilize. And concern with the Tejon corridor. Yeah. So areas like 44th and 32nd, Tejon, Navajo, I think everybody pretty well agreed that we want to retain the small scale retail and office space and avoid the purely residential infill. And here's where we talked about grocery stores. So human scale being a critical part of our neighborhoods.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Tim. And Amanda, if you could actually just keep that screen share and go down to our group number 2, Jacob will give us the highlights and others will jump in as needed.
All right, thank you guys. So our primary concerns with the infill development in the lower scale areas, I think mostly it's being able to try to keep some of these older homes that should be kept, or kind of keep some of that quality that does build the character of where we're at. We also kind of determined that new isn't necessarily bad. But I think with some design guidelines, we can tweak it and just continue to make it better. I think that was kind of our primary concerns with the residential areas. Sorry, I'm kind of reading our notes.
Yeah, and Jacob, it's fine not to like read and just go off, kind of your talking points that you had. I think that's fine too.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't see too much specific locations that we were able to really point out that were of huge concerns. I think the areas that would create concern is loss of people who've been able to be here for a long time and the affordability of being able to live in the area. And that seems like the major concern for everybody. As far as particular locations, yeah, someone did bring up La Raza Park. I don't know if they are trying to get rid of that at all. You definitely have to keep those. I also brought up, I think it's the North Tejon area. You have had circled in a couple areas. Keeping that as like a nice little commercial corner should be pretty nice. I don't know, you do have some stuff here on Tejon as well at the 38th area. Did what you determine historic or not, but with like Gaetanos and Lechugas and some areas like that, they've been here for a while. I do need to look into the Chicano Latino study. Definitely think that'd be helpful to, like I brought up, inform us about the history of the area, and then that can help you determine on what you know about what you want to keep here. And then I think we got into the mixed use. No one really agreed or disagreed strongly about anything. I know in the mixed use areas, there was a little bit of concern about human scale. I think they've done a pretty good job. If you look at like 32nd and Tejon and some of the areas that have seen more major development, some of the very like massive apartment complexes do tend to, I think, drive a younger crowd, but that also comes into your affordability as far as being able to have those many units for people to live in. Yeah, I've always kind of seen Tejon as a pretty good corridor that links us to downtown. I think that focusing on that would be pretty important. I know they had the bike lanes they were looking at, but I think there's other ways around that. I think we talked about scale. And then I know that we did talk about with design that things that you want to be able to focus on are people's safety. So when I think of safety, I think of lighting and traffic and being able to move, whether you're driving or walking. And then I think green space and affordability were our major concerns. I don't know, Sung, if I did miss anything, please go ahead and fill me in.
No, I think no, you did a good job. I mean, it's a lot. We're talking for 40 minutes, so I don't expect to cover everything. But we have the notes, and I do appreciate you, speaking for our group. So thank you so much. So with 3 minutes left, I'll just share a last slide about kind of different ways to engage for the next few months here. Sure, it's not in presentation mode, but I'm sure you guys see the slide here. This is a postcard that's available, or flyer that's on our website right now, and just lists out.
We're not seeing that. We're seeing your email.
Okay.
Sung, are you running the next meeting on Thursday? It's at Green Street. Oh, maybe. Oh, that might be through the Highlands neighborhood.
We'll have on the March 17th, if you're referring to that one, where I won't be there, but a colleague of mine and consultants will be there to facilitate and present as well.
Okay.
Yeah. But so thank you for pointing that out. So we're here March 16th. Tomorrow, we're going to have the Complete and Green Streets, followed by the Affordable Housing and Wealth Building Roundtable. So all virtual. And then we'll also have virtual roundtables for neighborhood discussions to really dive into each specific neighborhood and talk about neighborhood specific issues that apply to, that are unique to the area. And then we're also going to have in-person options coming here later in April and May, when things are warmer and maybe COVID isn't as scary, to be able to just engage in a drop-in at your own time, more of an open house style, to again talk about neighborhood specific issues. So look forward to those events, and we'll continue to promote through our newsletter and continue to be out in the streets, getting the word out. And then we'll also have surveys that allow you to participate on your own time and engage with similar materials and questions. That'll be available end of next week, the latest, and the e-blast will go out to be able to promote and make sure people are able to engage through that avenue as well. So thank you again, everyone, for coming today and bearing through the technical difficulties. But I really enjoyed the conversations I had in my group, and I hope you guys enjoy the conversations in your group as well. And we'll definitely take this information and go back and really help us inform the preliminary strategies, and continue to work with the community to refine, to make sure that is really reflective of the community values and voices of this neighborhood. So with that, I'll just say thank you again, and we'll go enjoy dinner, I guess, for those that haven't eaten yet.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Stay warm.